Hey, and welcome to a tutorial. This is a quick tutorial for how I edit specifically my Stardew videos for YouTube. So typically what I do is I start a new project by new project, and I will just call this Stardew episode 14. And I can go into my browser folder to find episode 14. And we'll save it in there so everything's in one spot and hit OK. So the next thing we want to do is grab our Stardew Valley footage. And so I have it in, surprise, surprise, my Stardew Valley folder. So whenever I record, I always try to keep them organized in here. And I will just drag this into here. Great. So see how it says it's generating the peak file. It may say something different in your editing program, but generally you want to wait for those to generate because that will make the audio appear right here. And this is very important for the way that I edit these because there's a lot of chopping based off of the audio itself. So the first thing I like to do is just kind of see where the video gets started. So we'll hit play. Yeah, so it starts right away. If there's a little bit of dead air in the front of it, or if I take a while to say good morning, I will just cut that out completely. But the audio is a little low. It's around the 18 to 24. So what I will do is right click and change the audio gain, normalize max peak to, and I usually put it around -3 or -4. And so what that'll do is it'll boost all of the peaks and kind of make them a little bit more even. So it brought some of them down and some of the other ones back up. And it just kind of keeps it very steady. So a lot of like the parts that are really high up will get dropped down, and some of the parts that are a little bit lower might peak up instead. So it's a little unusual the way I edit these, but it's also very quick. So typically the way I like to do this is edit the first draft based off of the audio waveform. So see how there's a bit of like dead air right here? Anywhere that there's something like this, it's not terribly interesting, is it? So typically I will, for Stardew videos especially, and I'm not talking very much, I'll use my cutting tool. So that's over here. Generally it looks like a little razor. You can usually hit C in most programs, and I'll just cut right around the time and we'll just delete it. And so now we have this gap, and we don't want a gap that shows like a black screen. So we're going to click on here and delete, and that should smush it together. If you don't have that option to do that, you can click and drag, and as long as you have some kind of snapping tool, this, for me it's this little magnet, it'll snap right up against it so you can cut through. And so generally I'll just go through as my first draft and cut out all of the dead air that's really excessive. If there's a little bit right here or right here, I don't think that's too big of a deal, but bigger gaps in general I try to trim out a lot. Something to keep in mind too is if I have audio that's kind of by itself over here, like this one, you know. Oh, that's the wrong drawer. So that's not really important to the video at all. So there's two reasons I would just cut that out entirely, but I'll show you the first one. So let's say we cut between all the lines and got rid of these. If you watch it back, it's kind of off-putting. So it kind of is a little too quick, and sometimes if you're not in a menu like this, you can see the mouse like kind of jump, or the character jump from place to place. So I'll just get rid of those two. I don't think those two are very important. But it's always good to listen back and see if you said anything interesting or if something interesting happened. So we'll keep cutting through here. So here's a few things. Notice how there's this big sound wave in the game audio. So let's see what this is. Just like that. Okay, so that's just the little furnaces cooking. Sometimes if there's lightning or something, I'll try to keep that in. And we can even keep this one in. And let's check what this little piece is. So that's kind of nothing. You can barely hear what I said. So we'll cut to the event happening, which is my character putting stuff into the furnace. And we'll say just like that, and then cut it out. And there's also a little peak of audio right here. Let's see what this is. That's just the popping of the UI, so we can just not worry about it. We'll trim this down a little bit. Trim this down a little bit. And sometimes if you see something like that's dragging out, sometimes if it's flat, it might be an So that was not an but we'll keep our eye out for something like that in the future. We'll keep trimming. If you see a little peak like this, sometimes that's a lip smack, so like Let's check. Nope, it was just the P noise. So it's always good to check those, but sometimes if you see a little peak audio, and sometimes I'll zoom out and like get the glaring ones at first too. So here, I'm not really sure what this is, but we'll watch it back afterward. And I'll actually go through, for the most part, and just kind of check everything this way. So we'll go through. This is probably chopping trees or something, or picking, yep, it's picking. Because the audio, the rhythmic audio up here kind of indicates that there's something mundane happening. Here's a little click noise right here. So we don't need that little piece right there. We'll just delete that one. Here, here. There's a lot of audio happening in here, so I'm just going to check. No, it's just the box. And we'll just kind of power through this really quickly. There's nothing interesting in the game audio, so there's no like monsters or dialogue popping up. Like these are the footsteps right here up top. But I do keep my eye on the game audio just in case something interesting happens. And especially if you see like a noise that's pretty significant and then your own personal audio or my own personal audio peaking. This kind of looks like an so let's check. Yeah, it's just, so we can get rid of that. We don't need it. So because this one is attached to my other audio that I was talking with, we're going to leave that one in. But if it was by itself and secluded enough, we would cut that out. To trimming these down. A lot of these I record for about 15 to 30 minutes of game footage. And by the end, it can be anywhere from like 7 to 10 minutes or so, or 15 minutes if I had a lot to say. So here's something, notice this dialogue here. This is a setting, like a way to set the tone. So we're about to go into the mines. This is the ding noise. And so instead of cutting to this without having the ding, we want the ding in there. So we're going to leave that in there. And we'll check what that's just breaking a rock, so it's not important. And there's a lot of like little stuff where I think I'm just mumbling to myself. Oh, so that was me chuckling. So I'll leave up to the like the laugh and then the K, and we don't need the rest of the laughter there. Sometimes if I see that there's a little bit of audio before my audio right here, I'll just leave that in. We'll go through, trim it down. So this is a little interesting. I'm not sure what happened over here. It looks like... Okay, so that's just me mimicking the flower. So sometimes when there's something like kind of goofy like that, I'll leave that in there because it also can count as like a transition. So instead of like jumping from all the way up here to like somewhere else, having like little goofy stuff. I'll leave the goofy stuff in there sometimes. And then here we go. We're going inside so we can cut out the... We'll leave it from the black screen. It's actually pretty quick. Let's see what I said here. Yeah, we can leave that in because this is a transition as well, even though I'm not talking.
Alright, how much would it...
And again, the way I figured that out is based off of this audio and the game itself, which is really helpful. So there's not much I was saying over here, so we'll get rid of this. I try to like not talk during the really mundane, boring parts of the gameplay. I feel like that's pretty standard. Okay, so we have some noise here. This looks like an and then I start chit-chatting again. So let's see what this is. Hello. Oh, hello. So since that's a transition, I'll leave that in. But we actually probably don't need it, but I do like that as a transition. And again, that's based off of the dialogue or the audio here. We'll delete that one. And it's always good to check. And it's okay if I did cut it out. It's not like it would make a huge difference in the gameplay anyway, but sometimes it's nice to leave a few of those in there. And even when I'm cutting, I leave a little bit of space between the dialogue anyway, so it's not like super fast. Let's see what this is. So I kind of wanted to see her dialogue box come through, so I'm going to leave that in. So there's some audio, some dialogue here. So I'll leave the dialogue in there. But this tiny part where I'm not saying and there's nothing going on, we can trim it down. Less is more with YouTube videos. People don't like waiting for long periods of time. And if you're wondering how I'm switching back and forth from the cutting tool to the selection tool to delete it, it's just V and C, which is pretty close. They're right next to each other, so it's actually really convenient. And so I go C, click, click. Although it looks like there's dialogue here. Nope, just me fishing. So we don't necessarily need that. Because I missed. Yeah, that's fine. And then, so whenever I'm fishing, there's these couple of peaks where it goes brr, brr, and this is the noise for that. So I actually get rid of the waiting period of just waiting for a fish to bite, but I leave in the action. So brr, brr, click. And then I'll leave this in if it's entertaining enough. And so we want to keep in the catch part. So that's where it catches, so we'll leave that. So this part we can cut out because there's nothing going on. So this one is just me catching it, but it's not when it's caught yet. Fishy, fishy, fishy. And so this is taking a while to catch. I think it'll probably catch over here, so we'll leave it right before it catches. And so I'm not really talking during that. Nobody cares about the fishing part. They just care about the actual catch. And then we'll go to this double thing right here, which is a catch noise. And we'll delete all that in between. Let the dialogue or the fishing box pop up. Cut it and bring it closer to the audio. So because I missed that, I actually want to make sure I get this part where I catch this. So we're going to leave just beforehand. We'll leave about that much in. Got it. Okay. So we can start. I like the little howling in the background, so I'll leave that. And I think this is the peak before it catches, so we'll see. We got greedy and it was worth it. Hooray! Perfect. So this is slightly related, but I did notice that there's a really cute frog in this scene. So I kind of wanted to take a screenshot of him jumping in the water because I feel like that'd be a good thumbnail. So what I'm going to do is take a screenshot of him jumping with my character nearby. And I'm going to take another one of just like the water itself. So that way I can get rid of the mouse that's on there. And so all I do is hit this little screenshot button or Control-Shift-E. You could probably go to like File, Exports, Frame. And there's probably a few other ways to do it. But depending on your program, you can take a screenshot. Alternatively, you could just like, you know, full screen this and like zoom it out and take an actual screenshot. It doesn't really matter. Thumbnails are so low resolution anyway that you don't need like perfect quality. Episode today, and I hope you had fun. And there you have it. So we have all of that trimmed down. So the next part of this step is to go through, so it's about 12 minutes long. And so what we want to do is basically go through and watch the entire thing, just like as you would watch a video. And if there's any or anything that feels a little awkward or something that you just want to cut out, you should always, always, always watch your entire video and see if it's one, entertaining to watch, and two, if there's anything you want to cut out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick, and we're going to cut out any or anything that we find a little bit weird. So just as an example of something I noticed while listening and watching the video, I have a conversation, and then right here in this spot is where I said hi to my cat that jumped on the table. Eating the soil, that would be helpful. Hi. So we're just going to cut that out. But for the most part, I really didn't have too many or anything like that. So we're pretty much at the end of it too, which works out really well. All right, to kind of wrap up the rest of this video, I tend to do this little kind of comment shout out at the end of my videos, so right here. But I hope you guys have an incredible rest of your day. Before we go, I do want to say a quick thank you to all of the really kind comments from the previous Stardew video. So this is where I say thank you to all of the really around here. Your day. Before we go, I do want to say a quick thank you. So what I typically do is I have a sound effect, but to make it easier on myself, I'll actually open up my previous Stardew video and I will go and grab the sound effects from here because it just basically grabs them. So this is where I said at the end of this video. Comments from the and see how it kind of goes. So these are the sound effects down here. I'll copy these. The kind comment. And then we will paste it in here, but we'll have to lock this audio right here because A1 and A2 are my two audio channels that I'm using. We can actually delete this one. This one's like an empty layer, so we'll delete this track right here. So we'll go right click, delete track. Now we just have our two, but since these two are now locked, if we hit Control, we copy it from here, Control C, and paste it in here, Control V, it should actually just paste it right in our spot. Thank you. Thank you. So now what we have to do is go to my YouTube channel. And the easiest way I find to do this is just to go to the previous video. So I actually just released one 3 hours ago. It is Sunday, so I'm doing this a week ahead of time. Good. And so we will go down to the comments. There's not too many because, again, it's only a 3-hour-old video. But there's a few really nice ones, so I just try to find ones that are, like, really sweet. They're all actually very, very sweet, but I think, like, even the first 3 are just perfect. So I use this tool called the Snipping Tool, and it's a free-to-download tool, but basically we can hit New, and I'll just go in and copy this and hit Save, and we'll go into Comment Shoutouts folder. And I put the date from when I was editing, so I'll put 2021 08/15. And then I just named the comments after whoever commented them. So we'll just do Haley. And then we'll do new again. We'll get Super Swag Frog. Congrats on 9K. Oh, we hit 9K today. Awesome. Save. So Frog. And then new. And I like to have 4. I think that 4 is like a nice number for comments. Zaru. And the last but not least. There we go. Alright, so now we can exit out of here. And we'll go into our folder where we just took those screenshots. Right here. And I'll just drag them each onto right where the little noise happens. Bonk. So right here. And I typically like to put them in order, so I'll scale it up so it's readable. And we'll put it over here and just up. So I'm using the position on the second side and just clicking and dragging them so they're viewable. And this one right here, scale. We'll put it on the other side. And this last comment is really big, so I kind of want it to have most of the real estate. So we're going to put this one next. Scale it up so you can read it. Go to the left. And Haley's comment on the last ticking noise, which is right over here. And since it's nice and long, we're going to want to scale it up and just have it basically take over the entire bottom of the screen. And now, when we put these together, thank you to all of the really kind comments from the previous Stardew video. I super duper appreciate it. I hope you guys have been enjoying this series, and I will see you on the next one. Cool. So that actually, they ended up disappearing at a good point, so the standard amount of time. If it's a little too close or too whatever, I'll kind of scooch them back. I actually like them teetering off like that, so I usually leave that in there. And then on the buy, what I do is I actually just do the same thing where I grab my credits from my other videos. And what the credits are is, if we were to look at this video, I have an adjustment layer. This is the blur effect, so that adjustment layer is on top. I have the thank you for watching, which is just a text layer. Special thank you to, which is actually a scrolling text layer. So right here, and it shows all my patrons and stuff like that, just to kind of wade, and my members to say thank you to them for those who financially support my videos. And we will lock this layer right here, and that way when we paste this, we want this head piece to be right where the buy is. Hit Control V. It won't ruin this part, and then we can unlock this layer. And right where this ends, I'll just cut off the rest of this, and we'll see how it ends. Bye! So we're actually missing a few of the pieces from our previous parts where we didn't grab all of them properly. We'll just have to do that again. Perfect. And bye! There we go. And I'll go in and check to make sure all the members and everything is updated. This should be up to date as of now because it was from today. But yeah, and then there's one other thing that I noticed that I had in my previous video, which is a little lower thirds. I typically don't try to do the call outs personally and tell people to like my video, but I have started putting this little thing at the bottom here, just a little call to action in the lower third, which is just a preset in Adobe Premiere Pro, and I put my little icon on it. So we'll lock this, and we'll just paste it right there, and we'll have it right in the beginning. Good morning! My cat says good morning, It's just about where I say good morning, and that's really about it. And that's pretty much how I edit my Stardew Valley video. Again, sometimes I'll watch it again just in case. I'll do one more full watch through. It's about 12 minutes long. I think the original video, let's check. The original video recorded was 20 minutes, almost 21 minutes. So we trimmed it down about 10 minutes, which isn't bad at all. And it's nice and consumable. I find that YouTube viewers tend to enjoy like 10 to 15 minute videos. Plus the YouTube algorithm also likes 10 to 15 minute videos. So it actually works out in my favor, but 20 minutes of recording to cut down to half isn't too shabby. So it's just a nice quick way to edit, especially for a playthrough where you don't necessarily need to do anything fancy for it. You just want to show the gameplay and cut out all of the boring bits. But if you're interested in this video, it'll be on my Kura YouTube channel, and it should be out next Sunday. All right. Well, thank you guys so much, and I hope this is helpful and kind of gives you an idea of a quick, easy way to do an easy edit for your game tutorial videos or gameplay videos, and I will see you on the next video. Bye!